sure to be a very volatile day here today as we await the Bank of Japan and their likely rate hike, which we've seen LaGuardia come out with the European Central Bank, and I believe they stayed pat. They kept rates the same. But all eyes are on the Bank of Japan to see if this will end up inducing a carry trade with the yen that inversely affects in a bad way, the US dollar, but mostly risk assets, because when that ends up happening, you have them end up selling out for the treasuries and the bonds and basically the US holdings, and it ends up causing a top heavy style event because now you have to sell out your riskier investments if you're the USA to kind of cover, almost like a reverse trade, so to say. But it ends up being a very messy proposition for the USA if this ends up playing through. It all depends how many investors would sell off when this we don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, but the last couple of times, yes, it's dropped Bitcoin a significant amount when we hiked rates, when it was more of in a downturn when they were cutting rates. And then the Bank of Japan decided to raise rates. In 2024, we ended up dropping, I believe it was $11,000 in Bitcoin in a matter of 7 days, which at the time was about 20% of the market value of Bitcoin. So I'm not saying that's going to happen now, but that's definitely some of the speculation here this morning that people, well, not this morning, but just speculation that's been going on about what could happen with the charts. Now, we did have a big drop down leading into this, and right now we're green. We're looking okay. The only difference is yesterday when we were green, we were doing this at the $1.98 level. Now we're doing it at the $1.91 level. Not even $1.90. Yeah, $1.91, that's fine. Bitcoin was doing this at, what was it, yesterday? So we need to see if some of this carries through. One of these times we're going to have to power through. Bitcoin yesterday went up to 90,281. Today we made a push up to 89,380, pretty strong. But it gets into that proposition here. Are we going to be able to carry through now that the USA is waking up and getting their bearings? Typically, maximum pain ends up happening for whatever reason when the USA wakes up. But right now, we're watching the NASDAQ up 300 points. The S&P's up 6740, which is about 1.01%. The NASDAQ is up 1.35%. The Dow's up 367 points right now, or 0.75%. So that's good. We had some numbers come out that they fluffed up, which we knew that was going to happen after we heard Trump speak last night. They were going to artificially induce the numbers this morning. So I don't like the way the CPI and data came out. I like the fact that the markets actually showed a little bit of signs of something, but it's artificial. I don't like the fact that they fluffed the numbers up because we know it's gonna be revised next month, which nobody's gonna pay attention to. But what it speaks to me is yeah, we're gonna get more rate cuts, but I want to see some further confirmation here. And then when I go across the board, the other thing I'm looking for is volume. I'm looking for some kind of evidence that we got a big spike of volume and that we can get continued volume. And right now, in the 4 hourly, at least we've got a little bit coming in. It's not like it's completely flat. We have right now 672,000 on this exchange in about 3 hours and 11 minutes. And that means we still got 49 minutes. So it's not that far behind the dump candle. Now, we have no way of knowing how this finishes. The 4 hourly broke a little bit more bullish to start the morning, so we'll see if it can carry through or if it tops again, which would be devastating. And we can run all the way up to $2 with really no resistance unless we get knocked off in the 30 minute, which would be the early signs of a reversal, but you just don't have enough. But we do have a nice little bottoming here. Maybe it's a double bottom here from $1.85 to $1.82 now. Get some confirmation and maybe we can start running back up to these higher levels. But our first area of confirmation, it's not actually $2. It's to get back over this little area in the very micro look at $1.94 roughly. And then ultimately, if you want to start to reverse this pattern, not just the $1.94 needs to be taken out, but we need to take out one more level to start pushing up. Well, I mean, I guess if you look at the micro, it's $1.9138. And then you get up there into the $1.94, and then ultimately you need to get above $2. You need to break this level right here at $2. It's not even debatable. It's not a debate, not even a discussion. So you can get through these micro levels and see how much power you have. So right now we're facing the first level, so we should have come back and back tested. Right when we came up to this area in real time, which when it came up here was 191.38. Now it's 191.32. So that's in real time. So that's why it's so important to kind of have more than just, you know, one little chart you look at, but start looking at it from a dynamic where it gets you into a more micro and basic look. So then you can see every step of the way. So I would encourage that, especially for leverage traders. I don't encourage you leverage trading, but if you are, make sure you understand the fundamentally minute levels. Like if you're a leverage trader, you got to know this level right here, because if you don't get over it, this could be the first exit strategy. I'm not in any leverage. I'm just saying, like, this is the way that I think would be very beneficial to somebody who was. And then if you get through that threshold, you got to get through 194.50 roughly. Then if you get through that threshold, then we can start talking $2, right? So that's what we would be looking at this morning, trying to get up in this direction. And then we have another minute little resistance over the top that was created with these two taps. You could actually say 3 if you did it right, but I like it better too. And then 210. So, I mean, you got all these micro resistance that have been formed. But we need some volume to push through. How are we going to get the volume? That's the big problem. This doesn't make me feel good this morning, because I know they used the charts to push it up right now to use emotion. Because if I was a market maker and I was trying to get retail in this morning, I'd give out good numbers this morning as well, and then have a little volatility to the upside. Basically, all that can be sometimes is they turn off trading algorithms on their sells with their trading bots, and then all of a sudden you get an overwhelming, or they turn off the buys. It can go either way. But right now, it's just, I'm not seeing anything that changes really with the volume perspective. I wanted to see if we're getting a big reversal like this, like Ethereum up 4.5%. And when you look at its volume, you've got some, like, that's a good thing. It actually registers in the 30-minute, but when you start breaking it out into the daily, the weeklies, the monthlies, I mean, is it even registering right now? That's my biggest problem here. Let me get rid of this right now so we don't have to look at this. And for intents purposes, we don't have to look at that either. So if you break this into the weekly, I mean, there's no volume there really. Especially in the daily, like, you'd expect to see a big green candle forming right now. Like, you would expect it. But really, the daily, yeah, we're up in a sense. But are we? Yesterday's daily had us up over 3,000. So are we even up, or are we just back tossing the breakdown? That's where we have to be we have to be careful right now, because when you're coming from the top and then you back toss it from a layer of support, that's good. Those end up being new entry points. But when you're underneath and you're coming back up to retest the resistance, this is where you got to be careful. And XRP, even with this push up this morning, none of these have really even retested the resistance. That's the crazy part. It's higher, but we can't seem to get through this micro level of resistance. So, you know, it's an interesting thing. I think my cat wants to go. Kitty, come here, go. You want to go outside? Go. Come on. You want to go outside? Come here. You want to go outside? Can I go outside? It's a little warmer out today. Anyhow, we'll continue this in a sec. Make sure that like button, as half of you have hit the like button exactly. But let me do the intro before I get too far into this. Good morning. 10:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, December 18th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. It's crazy that Bitcoin is at plus 2.22%. It was during that whole time I was staring at it until I said that. Because all I was thinking in my head is, well, because today is today's the day that on the calendar of the year. Every year when December 18th hit, that's the day that lives in infamy in my own world. No. Accidentally unplugged the Christmas lights. But December 18th is a synonymous date for me because this is the day 19 years ago I broke my back in a car accident and it changed my trajectory. Albeit it ended up being for a better purpose. My trajectory changed for the better. But it took a long time. But anyhow, I digress. I've gotten a lot of questions here this morning. Where are we going to get the volume? How are we going to push up? What are the levels? We really need to push past for XRP needs to be back above $2. There's these minor levels we've talked about, and we can go over it real quick again for anybody who's come in. Like this chart, I'm not using this right now. Like, yeah, we can use this for the inside out to make sure that we're not breaking below it. But besides that, I'm not using this unless we were to break below this support and then have to break down. So this chart is for the in the moment drawing. We're not in that moment yet, so we don't need to look at that right now. But what we need to start looking at is the micro into the micro or the macro, which is just the longer of the short part of this pattern. So we start here. And right now we're still broken down. So why it's not debatable we have to get above these levels is because we've got to get back from the drop point. Otherwise, if we don't get back above and retake the drop point, we have a technical drop right now that gets us down to around $1.70 out of that drop point. So that's why it's very important to get back above the level. And then if you start breaking up a little bit more, then you can start looking at it in a different trajectory. Okay, we got above there. Well, we can't get to $1.94.5 until we break through the smaller zone at $1.91, which has been driving the price down because it hasn't been able to stay above it. So now we're going to see if it can drive back above it and then work towards $2. Obviously, we would have the micro in between at $1.94.5 roughly. But this is how you start building the trajectory. And then you can pull it out more into a macro view. Let's say you get on top of $2. Well, now you start opening it back up to this megaphone style. If you can break above these resistance. I mean, there's a lot of resistance we built. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a big road up. But you have to start layering it up. Otherwise, it's going to keep falling through the floor. So we've got a big opportunity here for XRP. But we also have to be very, very aware of what's going on with the Bank of Japan. There's no reason to be afraid of it, though. There's really no reason to be afraid of it. I think the title this morning as well, I think we did a good job with the title. With XRP bounces to $1.91 as Bitcoin hits 89K. Will Bank of Japan rate hike and yen carry trade unwind stop this? And that's exactly what it sounds like. We need to see what the repercussions when they raise rates. If it's 0.25, some of this can be accounted for, but you still have to understand, like, it is gonna cause a little bit of chaos in the bond and the treasury markets. But think about it. They did do quantitative easing, and where's that $40 billion initially going into the T-bills? So it's almost like they were trying to make it solvent in there in case this actually plays out. It does feel like that. Tom, if you had a house break-in, would you trust your life with a cheap gun or a name brand gun? XRP represents the name brand gun when your life is on the line, and that's all big money sees, a sure bet. Yeah, but there's more than one name brand gun. And I've come into a lot of experience with weaponry where name brand sometimes has faulty equipment because the name brand doesn't no longer put in the top priority for its users, let's say, and they put in cheap mechanical parts in the inner workings of said weapon. I've also come into with experience where the smaller arm manufacturer, they put a little more detail into their work. It might cost a little bit more, But over the name brand, there's always that shining armor. I also know that the name brand oftentimes is allowed to lack in quality because it is the name brand. And after its initial trajectory, when it gets to the funds and whatever it needs, it often goes off on its own escapade at the dismay of its loyal users of said weapon. So, I agree and disagree. But yeah, XRP's a name. I've never said it's not. Unless you're talking to the whole narrative. But that's just the truth. I love XRP. Wouldn't be doing this every day if I didn't. I just know that if we can understand the fundamentals that allowed us to latch onto XRP early, we can find the other ones that are going to be similar. There's never going to be the same thing as XRP. There's never going to be another one dragged through a lawsuit like that. There's never going to be another one that draws this kind of attention through social media. There's never going to be a lot of things. But if we can find the unsung hero, the one that should get the attention, and there's only 4 factors that we really can look at. I mean, you need to look at the way this all comes together. So, like, XRP does it beautifully when it comes to the transformation within the central banking systems to be solvent. That's where I've always thought that this was going to happen. And that means in the USA it has a big place as well. You know, and then you have to look at the R3 because that actually runs this framework as well. And then you look at who the head of it is. You might as well just put XDC in the middle of it with the crown on its head because it basically runs the legs for the rest of this whole quarter to run. And without that, XRP can't even do what it wants to do. So we start to hitch the parts and the wagon together. And if we understand it's deeper than XRP, and that some of the moves already happened with XRP, and you want to be positioned in these when they're super cheap, so that when they do get to the $1 and $2 mark, when they're starting to move 30, 40 cents, and it ends up being an 8 to 10% move, but for you, it's 100, 200. That's where you want to be. So with that mindset, we've already done our job with XRP. So everybody who always debates me on it, it's like, I've done my job. I bought it when you should have bought it. Not saying you can't buy it now, but at the prices when it was realistically profitable, and I'm not even saying we didn't buy it at 0.0 when you could have, or 0.000 and all those days. But what I'm saying is you want to be buying it in the low cents, especially if you have ambitions that it's going to go to $1, $2, $3, $5, $10. Because once you get into the 1, 2, 3, especially we haven't got there yet. We got a small glimpse when it got to $3. And we had a 35-cent move, which used to be a 100% move when we first bought in, right? But that 35-cent move was 100% for our portfolio from the bottom. So that was another $3,500. But for somebody who bought at $3, let's just say it went to $3.35, that's not as big of a move as it used to be. You know? That's a 100% move for us, and that's about a 12% move for them. But then when it got to 350, so if we can get to that point, and that's what we're trying to get. Today, trying to have a move up is nice, but yeah, I haven't done anything yet. If I wasn't liquid, I would tell it. If I didn't have the liquidity still, I would say it when I first start. Or it would already be known in the Telegram. No, I don't. What I'm seeing right now feels artificial, but I can't say it is. Like, it could break out and retake some levels I want. But I haven't seen very big motivational movements yet. Not in the least. I would like to see it. I really would. But it's like, once we get into the morning, now we have to wait to see if we can survive the morning onslaught. It's 9:30 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:30, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is basically the way it goes, and we run through this routine every single day, and it seems to play through most days. We wake up, we get this upward volatility overnight in Asia. Somehow, some way, when we wake up, the markets are looking fantastic. You know, everybody gets to work. Everything just seems good. Take the shower, do everything, and then all of a sudden, a lot of times the market will break down. So I just want to see if we can carry through here and actually make something of this, or if this ends up breaking down in the morning. That's all I want to see. And if we can overtake certain areas, oh, it just, I want to see this happen now. I want to see this. It bounced off 467 for XDC, which is great. I want to see this play out now a little bit. That's all. I want to see how it's going to react. I want to see how we're going to react. Because if we react properly, we put in the Telegram when it looked like this had the bottoming yesterday, or on what was it, a day and a half ago, yesterday or the 16th, when we said it could make this strange bottom. But then it has these fake outs, but it put in another inverse style setup. So we'll see if it can retake these areas. This is the exciting time. We get to see if this can build into something. Now with the CPI coming out and all this stuff, the upbeat, because they have the NASDAQ's a little upbeat today as well. We need to see if this plays out. It's either this is playing out for us to have a nice, beautiful continuation, or this is just setting up more exit liquidity for when the Bank of Japan comes out, and we don't really know. Tom is not at today. Hey, that's just a conspiracy theory. Just because I'm not wearing a hat doesn't mean we're not bullish. That's a conspiracy. Yes, there has been a lot of correlations, but today you shouldn't make that correlation because we very well could overtake these areas. Remember, we went up, came down, went up, came down farther. Now we're coming up again just to try to come up where we were farther yesterday. So, but if we overtake, this is almost building an inverse pattern. It really could be. And now if we come back up, I mean, we got work to do. And yes, we need to get above some of these areas we're at now. But we're showing a little bit of steam today. We'll see how this 3 hour carries on, if we can get volume, or if this was just, you know, the let's entice the U.S. when they first wake up. But right now, it's not just enticing. We're holding on a little bit right now. But yeah, we're not cooked. We've been cooked. It's been cooked. We did a lot of deep diving yesterday showing the numbers, like Bitcoin being down better than 40,000 as of yesterday. It's come up a couple thousand again today after that drop. You know, from the top. Right now we're down about 38,000. XRP was down better than 40%. You know, so it's not that we're going to be cooked. It's that we need to figure out if we're going to get taken out of the, you know, the oil. It's hot in here, baby. Whoo, it's hot inside of this roasting pan. And inside of this oil tray. Like, it's hot. We're about to get crispy. Or we are crispy. Now we need to see if they dry us out. But yeah, Ethereum right now is looking okay. It's just, let's let this happen now. Show us it, baby. You know, like the memes where it says, that's what I'm looking for. We're trying to look for something. We got past the 20-day. Maybe we can run up here. Yesterday, we're trying to come up to yesterday's resistance, which was... And this is not a bad thing, going up to 3,000, coming around, rounding the bottom. That's not a bad thing. Stochastic, I mean, yeah, you're going to run into heavy buying now in the stochastic because it's volatile. But watch this. Now in the 4 hour, it's straightening itself out. We got plenty of room if we need to go up. Plenty of room here. So, you know, the pessimistic person in me says Bank of Japan, but the optimistic person in me says, well, when everybody says the Bank of Japan is going to dump the market and everybody's expecting it, can I get a little confirmation here early in the day so that I can just buy in to something? That's what I'm saying. Like, a little confirmation here goes a long way. If we retake it, well, we got some work to do still, but there's a reason to look at this and think maybe there's some optimism here. Because I like to do the reverse of what most people are thinking. But a lot of people think that it's baked in. That's where it tricks you a little bit. A lot of people think the market's baked in already for the Bank of Japan. So then you'd be thinking the same thing as everybody else. So now it's kind of a tricky, it's a mind fuck here today. The fact that we went from yesterday to 16 to 17 is interesting. If Jim Cramer said that, we would freaking go bananas. But yeah, so right now when you're looking at this, remember yesterday on a lot of these when we looked, we got to make sure we're not just coming up to a resistance. Yesterday we fell through some levels that make it interesting on the recovery. It's been nice, though. It's come up from 30. We need to get past. Well, I mean, it's not like it's a huge move by any means. We're still below yesterday and the day before and the day before. It's just, we want to make sure the perpetual swing isn't continuing in the bearish bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry. The bearish nonsense. The day Linnea hits $1, I'm retired. Oh, man. That'd be fantastic. So right now, speaking of Linnea, it's another one that's at one of these points. 657 roughly is a great area to look at here to see if we get rejected or we continue on. We don't know. If we can carry on here, this could be a great signal for maybe a little opportunity here. I understand the weekend starting, but we need to see if gold and silver continues to... It was farther than that. I thought gold was... whatever. It seems to do this every day now. But gold's down $2.50 and silver's down 0.88%. It's interesting, though, that the mining stocks are showing a little green here as gold and silver went to consolidate. It's almost like they were tapping some... Oh, I hope that doesn't happen. All right, we'll play it positive right now. So right now we're looking to break $1.94 in the short term, get over that $2, and see if we can make a run. For Bitcoin, we're trying to get over... Jesus Lord, they all came back up here that quickly and tapped it already. 89,328, which we hit it once this morning. We ended up right back into the liquidity box. That red circle is it's the pits of despair, let's call it. If we fall into there, it's no good. But if we get back above this little bearish zone, we could work our way back up to 94K. Whoops. If we came back to the top. Now, yeah, the 200-day runs below it at 92. Yeah, we need to see what the intention is here. We really need to see what the intention is here. Because gold had a pretty remarkable reversal just now. I know it wasn't crazy, but it recovered all those losses from this morning, and it did it in a quick way. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, we can try to be optimistic here. We just need to get past these resistance. Like, I don't want to be unoptimistic. It makes people leave when they come in. They come in and they're like, oh, man, I don't want to hear about it possibly going down. And I don't either. But it's just, we got to get past that. We just got to let the charts do their job. Bitcoin hunts liquidity. And that's my fear, that this is just a liquidity hunt. Bitcoin hunts liquidity as U.S. CPI inflation drops the lowest since 2021. Come on, guys. Is U.S. inflation the lowest since 21, or is this a bunch of hogwash? Where they're trying to inflate what everything looks like before something happens? Like, I don't know, man. This doesn't seem right. Are people really buying this? They're telling us U.S. inflation is at a multi-year low. How does that even make... So let me just read through what they were talking about this morning, and you tell me if it makes sense to you, if they're building up to some kind of cut-the-throat moment, where, again, we end up being exit liquidity on fake news. And this is the fakest of news when they give out these fake CPI data reports. So Bitcoin hunts liquidity as U.S. CPI inflation drops the lowest since 2021. Ask Japan if they believe that. Ramped up volatility into Thursday. Wall Street open as markets reacted to surprise U.S. inflation data. So, data from Cointelegraph Markets, Pro and TradingView showed Bitcoin passing 89,000 before reversing lower. The move followed the November release of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, which printed one of its largest monthly declines since 2023. That doesn't even seem possible. We went back to quantitative easing, ended quantitative tightening, and we're lowering rates. This doesn't even make sense just on the surface. Firmly against expectations. The all items index rose 2.7% for the 12 months ending November, after rising 3% over the 12 months ending September. Oh my God, it only rose 2.7%, not 3. Call it a miracle, but it's still up 2.7% from the other 3%, making it a total of 5%. Or not 5%, but hey, sorry, it's not 3%, but that's even fudged up. Watch what happens next month when they redo it. I'm sorry, my bias has to come out of it. An official statement from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, confirmed. The BLS noted that October's CPI report was not issued due to the government shutdown. Reacting trading resource, the Kobayashi letter led the surprise suggesting that contrarian inflation signals could continue into next year. This puts core CPI inflation in the U.S. at its lowest level since March 21st. We are living in a bizarre world. It's true. We must have jumped timelines. Because on my old timeline, people were dumb, but not this dumb. People knew they were being lied to, but they wouldn't accept the fact that they just stopped trying to lie and just outright they like to know that they were trying to hide the fact they were lying. Just like in sports. We like the fact they were trying to hide the fact that it was rigged. Now they're not even trying to hide the fact they're lying. Just like they're not even trying to hide the fact it's all rigged. Nobody's even trying to hide it anymore. They're putting the balls on the table and say crush them or just get the hell out of my way, and no one's crushing them. According to this data, inflation is now at its lowest point or closest point to the Fed's 2% target. Oh, Lord have mercy. 2026 is going to be a wild year. Versus the anticipated 3.1% increase, CPI had come in short by a massive amount. Risk assets like Bitcoin are railing on the back of this combined with a large fall in dollar and bond yields. The 3-month annualized CPI is now just slightly over 2%. This should be very welcomed by the Fed. More rate cuts are expected to get priced in following this data. Data from CME's group's FedWatch tool put the odds of a fresh interest rate cut at the Fed's January 28th meeting at 26.6%. As Cointelegraph reported, traders were suspicious of Bitcoin price action through this weekend last due to fake outs in either direction during U.S. trading sessions. Accusations of market manipulation came as it hit walls of liquidity both above and below while failing to sustain a new trend. Total crypto liquidations for the 24 hours of the time of writing were over 630 million per coin glass. With the snap moves continuing on the day, crypto trader and entrepreneur who gives up for So it says Bitcoin is mimicking a fractal. Maybe it is. Hopefully it is. But if it is, we need to come down a lot farther, that 74K area. So don't be too excited yet. So anyhow, that's basically what's being written. But hey, nice little move up. We said we could be optimistic to start. Be optimistic. I like optimism. Makes things a little bit easier to talk about. Gold's positive. Interesting. That's interesting, actually. Gold's positive. Now, look, breaking news. Did you see the breaking news from the ECB just now? European Central Bank says rate cutting is likely over. The rate cutting cycle is likely over in the Eurozone now. Interesting. I'm not sure what that was supposed to mean about Julie, but there was no funny business going on. I'm tired because tea was up till 3 a.m. But no. She was on her womanly time. It started on my birthday. Let's see. Small movements. I mean, I know we're not as high as yesterday, but at least we have small movements. Small movements here. We just need to see if this can continue. A lot of this, it doesn't bother me. I had a good day yesterday. I don't know, that honestly doesn't matter. I was just happy that when T got home that he wanted to go outside for an hour. And then Yesterday night, Scarlett had her choir concert, so one of those good things. It was a good day. I still worked out today though, so I was a little tired and I still did my workout. So okay, that's definitely something. Plus, my mind sometimes is just so tired of like some of the script that sometimes I want to come in more calm and not be so negative. Let's say Ethereum's up 5.4% today. Could be an outrunner. Some nice volume coming in the 4-hourly at least. If not just one candle, at least there's some volume coming in. That's something. That's something. Oh, I know, bright future. I know. And thank you for being in town on 3+ months with the XP Meteor, along with, who else did I see? My Yard Now, Mrs. G Stott. I think Mr. Stott I might have seen. I seen, who else did I see? Who else did I see? I know I seen somebody else with 3 months. Josh I seen in here. Self-awareness. Thanks for being in town for 3+ months. There's Mr. Stott as well. 3+ months. Scott Lowry going all the way back to the top, and Dan Margino. The power is still out here praying for all the first. Wow, power is still out there. Well, we pray you get that power back on. Absolutely. The good spirits. Man, that's been some time now. Mark Casson and Jacoby, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, along with Carl. I might not get to everybody, but I'm going to try to hit as many on the way down that are in Tom's Army here. Joseph, Times, Crypto Cooter, Frankie Fresh, and Janine. Hope you're doing well, Janine. Who else? The Cannabis Podcast, Big Dog. XRP Fam 420. Defined. All of you, thanks for being in town for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Crypto Cooter and Defined, thanks for being very trust mods in here in the Telegram. Defined said down here, hey everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and join Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube every day. You are not in the Telegram, you are missing out. Why wait? I love it. I love that message. The Telegram is something special. Like it's deeper. It goes deep. What do we think right now? Do we think we can continue this rally? Do we think there's like a double bottom could possibly formed here? Do we think that we have potential? I want to know what the audience is thinking. We're starting to push up into these levels now where we can try to retest this resistance and see what happens. Garbanzo, good morning, and thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XP Meteor as well. Appreciate that, my friend. Good morning, everyone listening while driving to my next job. Be safe, my friend. Be safe. And I commend you for putting the work in. It's not easy right now. I know. We got to work a lot right now. It's a lot. Bitcoin. Longs are at 50.69% to 49.31% shorts. 46.61 billion going long, 45.38 billion going short, which means if it goes down at any point, there's 1.21 billion of liquidity if it goes in the down direction right now on Bitcoin, created in the last 24 hours. Ethereum's 50.11% long, 49.89% short. Pretty even. 37.65 billion going long, 37.49 billion going short. 160 million or so that can be taken out, possibly going shorter, but that's not a lot. It's pretty even. That's not going to weigh it anyway. XRP 49.3% going long, 50.7% going short. 2.41 billion long right now in XRP and 2.48 billion short. So again, pretty even. It's not going to sway it one way or the other based on that. Bitcoin's got a little bit to the downside, but even that isn't, I don't know if it's going to be enough to sway it completely to the down direction or not. You've got the Dow up 479. You've got the S&P up 92 bucks. You've got the NASDAQ up 1.89% or 428. The S&P's 1.38% and the Dow's up 1% firm. The VIX is down 9%, which is good for risk. Let's see. The U.S. 10 years down 4 basis points, or 1% to 4.11. Year to date, it's minus 4.46 basis points, or 10%. I mean, it's up 1% today is what I mean, not down. I think everybody understands. I think we will start pushing with oil and AI. It's very possible that we start pushing those sectors. Eventually, you're going to have to with oil. They're just using oil right now, remember, as a silver lining for Trump. So the cheaper it gets, the more positive they can spin that narrative. So imagine if it came down below 50 or 40 a barrel. You know, I don't know if it's going to come that far, but that's the narrative they're spinning. So until we can get into the next narrative, right now they really like to use oil and how much it's come down. I really want to see what happens here. I'm generally interested to see how the market reacts here with the news that came out today. I'm interested to see how this plays out. I really am. I'm really interested to see if this can continue, or if this is some liquidity building up for later, for them to take liquidity from us now before the bank is. I don't know what they're trying to do. All we can do is stay within the charts and say, let's see if we can break past these resistance, or if this gives it back. I believe that too, Zolam says Mr. Tom, oil is going to get low and price pretty soon. I think that's the play as well, that it's going to get low. We can't guarantee it, me or you, but I definitely speculate the same mindset you have. Because in each of the prior runs up for black gold, which is oil, what ends up happening is they end up having these huge breakdowns. I mean, huge. And I don't know if it can continue or not. But generally, and I've looked at this from a historical standpoint, each of the prior times we've had catastrophic drop downs before breakouts. So if it follows just the same trend, and it could put in a third arm over here if it does this. So the first time we came all the way down about 73%. And mind you, we're still in the pattern consolidation, right? Then we came up 234. And then before the next big move, so this time it was over 70%. This time before the next big move, we came down in a totality of 97%. Like that. But that may never happen again. That was one of those historic wicks that came down. And then from here, you figure 70-something, 98%. Right now it's 55. If it does a similar pullback and does something like this, that's an 86% drop. That could keep an inverse setup. And it could come back down and retest this support and validate after this recent push over. Because, you know, you buy support, sell resistance. Buy support. You can sell it, but it never hit resistance. But you can see it carry through and then sell resistance. Now, if you wait, you have to buy support down here. And that would make an 87% drop. So, we'll see. I can't say it's a guarantee, but generally, it has a capitulation style drop where people are just selling. Nobody wants it. No one's buying it. And it makes, you know what it does is it makes moving things, it's dirt cheap. Like it makes things a lot cheaper, but then when it's cheaper, more and more of the barrels get bought up, and then it makes it look like we can get into some kind of crisis down the road as far as with the availability, and then they start raising it ever so slightly into a big push up, and then you have capitulation the other way, and then people are like, oh my God, we can't even buy barrels. It's all been liquidated, but they've got them stored and all these, you know, that's just the way it goes. So I agree with you, Zolam. Well, as far as it goes with the blah, 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 I can't talk about you guys who's talking about what everybody got with the blah, blah, blah. You know, the jabberoonie. I can't talk about that because they might ban me on here. But, you know, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I would encourage you, before you do anything, read the ingredient list. And then say, would I put each of these itemized ingredients on a table, and would I take them one by one? And if you can't say yes to it, what are you doing? XLM's up 3%. XDC's up about 2%. We've got V-Chain up 2%. Nothing huge. Let's see H-bar, because it's right at that support structure in the micro. Yeah, see, it's holding that support at least. That's a good thing right now. It's held this and it created W. This very well could be. I'm telling you, you never know when the sneaky reversals happen. And this is one of those opportunities. It could happen right here. The daily's oversold. The 4-hourly's got plenty of room to move up still. The weekly's oversold. The monthly on H-bar is pushing into that territory, which it's still got a little bit of room to come down, but that's neither here nor there right now at this point. The point is if we could get some steam and not break down here, I know the technical drop should be around 9.5, but that's speculative because we could have created this down channel, remember? So if we make 10.9 now our support, maybe we can reverse back up here. Oh, you absolutely can read the ingredients. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know because I didn't get the last ones, but I didn't get any of them, but you can read the ingredients. You have to ask for it. They won't tell you. Or you have to go online to read it, but they have to make it available in some fashion. They have to tell you what's inside of it. Most people don't care. But Bank of Japan, I think we start pushing with oil and AI. The Bank of Japan will drop markets. No, nicotine, it's ironic. I mean, I don't take any kind of nicotine, but it's ironic. Nicotine actually kills. If you could go down the rabbit hole and you've seen what nicotine's actually for, I think it would blow people's minds. Yeah, they give it the bad name in cigarettes because they put all this crap in cigarettes, but the nicotine in itself is actually, yeah. It's actually, oh man, it's got so many benefits. I want to grow it. I mean, in the USA, I technically can't do what I want to do in that regard. Go figure that one out. Or free. USDT down 2.66%. Are we double topping? Are we consolidating? Are we going to finish out this move? Like, the less money that's in stable coins, the better. Although we do have a golden cross here that seems to still need to layer up here. And we had a very firm triple bottom here, which ended up being an inverse setup. And the top of this inverse setup, if it played out true, would be up towards 8%. Yes, we could have got a rejection here. That's well known. When we got up to 6.7, we could have got rejected. So we need to see if that plays out or not. If we got rejected, okay. But if we didn't, okay. I don't even know why this is like. Oh, that was when we looked at it like that to see if it was. That was like kind of like an inside out thing. You gotta be a part of this to know. Define said I was smoking at the time of the blah 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 over a pack a day and never got sick. That's when I started doing research on nicotine. I'm happy to say I haven't smoked in over a year, but I do have my nicotine. Interesting. Try wormwood, not synthetic. Here's the thing with what you asked, John. Taking the paste and all that, I don't know. If you can find somebody, and it costs a couple $100 for like a month's supply, but if you can find them to go to an individual pharmacy and do it in dosages that is right for your body weight, yes, very good. But if you take the thing they're selling on TikTok and all this other stuff, I doubt it. If you can get it through a pharmacy where they will actually, you got to get it through somebody who's willing to send it to some, you know. I know there's a place in New York you can do it. There's a few of them. It's expensive, though, to do it. It's like $180 roughly for 30 of them if you do it properly and it's, you know, it's made for your body weight. Velo. But yeah, it's but a lot of people are using the stuff, you know. Velo 9. You know, I've heard something about that. I've never tried it. Can you elaborate on that, Rob? Also, fenbenzonol and that kind of stuff is good too. And that, like, but you have to use a certain dosage, which is ironically what they give a canine. But you have to go down a rabbit hole to learn all of this. I don't know. I've never used the ivermectin in those forms. I found some way to get it made in from a pharmacist, but it's not cheap, so I haven't done it in a while. But you can do it just to keep some on hand. Oh, it's a dip pouch. Okay. Okay. That's the amount of the. Okay. No tobacco. Excellent. Good, now I can at least understand what you were talking about in my head. I was just trying to make sense of what you were saying. That makes perfect sense. Thank you guys for clearing that up for me. I do appreciate it. It is so weird, though. Even to get some momentum. I only worry about the spike protein from people. Yep. That's a good point. That's a good point. No, me neither. I agree with you, John. I agree. I like the discussion in the chat. I gotta be careful what I say. And the good news is I'm not sharing this on the screen anymore, so it won't stop our lives, as you notice, by you guys typing stuff. And then when it gets replayed, it doesn't show what's in the chat. It restarts the chat. I wish it would show every comment from the live, so then when people are watching, it would say, okay, this was during the live itself, and then when somebody else commented, it wouldn't say it, but it would say like a live comment versus just a regular comment, so you know whether or not you're talking to somebody. Yeah, I know, amused. That was what I was saying when they announced the $1,700 to all the troops. They're basically paying them off. Now, is this $1,700 to enact something down the road? Are they buying a vote of confidence, like they're going to do something extreme and they need them to keep us at bay? I always ask myself that question when they throw monetary money at the troops. I know it's not the right question, but that's what I wonder. And with all the stuff approaching, so no, I don't. I could have started a channel years ago, and did all this conspiracy stuff, but I got a weird phone call when I was in my early 20s from people. You don't want to get phone calls like that. And my brother had somebody show up at our house. So, you know, you get some warnings in life, and then you say, you know what? It's not worth it. So, you know, you don't want to go too close. So then you back off the radar, and that's where we've been for the last 3 decades. Or 2.5 decades. But that's, you know, you don't want to get too close. You can try to enlighten people through different things, but you don't want to get too close. You don't want to have a big station that calls it all out. You do stuff like this. Any thoughts on a 10 p.m. live this evening? I don't know, Julie. Would 10 p.m. be better in the evening? With T schedule, would that help him sleep? Or would that make it worse?
I don't know. I can't answer those questions. T is a creature.
T is a creature. I don't know, defined. I would like to, because I know, is that around when the Bank of Japan does their stuff? I'm going to go back to the... Cannabis Podcast says nicotine has shown potential therapeutic benefits for several conditions, including Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, depression, ADHD, and Tourette syndrome. True that. 1970 legend, welcome in the Buckeye. Our fellow, well, not fellow Buckeye, but our friendly Buckeye down south. It's funny to have a Wolverine and a Buckeye, such good friends. But he's got a college football playoff game to worry about. Not immediately because he's got a bye, but coming up here soon. So trying to make it the defense of the defending national champions as Michigan is the defending scandal leaders in charge right now. As Sharon Moore, you know, I don't know why his wife came out and said what she said, but they turned him into the victim, and I don't like that. She was the victim. He's not a victim. He's a piece of shit. Excuse me. So Bitcoin. Now let's not even look at Bitcoin. The total crypto market cap's another thing that makes me a little nervous. The fact that now, I do like the double bottom though. I will say, if we were gonna hold, this is a perfect spot to double bottom if we're back testing. That support resistance line, that is a perfect double bottom if we hold it. Now the technical drop down was 2.52 trillion. But if we hold this as a double bottom and get some stability, this could be I mean, you never know when it's going to happen. We always say you just never know. Let's see. I did miss that comment. I can't seem to find it. Mr. Sott said, I think they lie about the inflation and jobs and everything else to explain what the market is doing because it's actually driven by AI and they want to keep up the facade. Can't argue that. Can't argue that. 9:45 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it should be announced rates. Ooh. I'm a Michigan State alum, sir. Carl, you're oh, okay. So we might as well just call it the great state of Michigan, the scandalous state, right? It's not just Michigan; it's Michigan State as well, as we know with what we just went through over there with Mel Tucker. So Mel Tucker, Sharon Moore, one and the same. No, Mel Tucker wasn't as bad. We can at least say that he didn't. Yeah, he wasn't as bad. Okay, let's not put him on the same playing field. Indiana put belt to ass on Ohio. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was a good game. I don't think anybody put the belt to ass to anybody in that game. I just think, call me crazy, but it seems like Ryan Day likes to lose the last game of the season that he plays in before he gets into the playoffs now to motivate his team. Like, hey guys, what the hell? We can't be losing to Indiana with that budget. Last year, you guys lose the team with Michigan that their quarterback came out with his arms in two casts. And two peg legs, and we still lost. This year we lose to Indiana when we're paying all this money. So I feel like it's just he does it to motivate his guys. Sharon Moore, unfortunately, when he was playing Ohio State this year, I'm dead serious. He was messaging, and it came out now. He's messaging OnlyFans stars to get some pussy during the game. And he's married, and he's got a couple side pieces already that he got pregnant. So, I mean, couldn't even coach the game. I'm watching the game saying there's no way that this guy is coaching this team right now because this is horrible. And it turns out he wasn't. So it's all a spectacle nowadays. First horseman comes to conquer with the crown and a bow. Crown in Latin is corona. And bow in Greek is a simple piece of fabric, your medical mask. POW, it's in the Bible. Interesting. Interesting. I like that, John. Nice way of putting things together. Mike Ruxmel says, well, first off, Tom, just took a Cialis before tuning into your show. Just sitting here waiting for it to kick in. I mean, what better way than to have it kick in than watch me, right? You know, I appreciate your, Mike. There's not many that come like you. Wait a minute. What did we just say? There's not many that are like Mike, let's just say. So I hope you caught that too. I know Mike did. Mike is one of a kind for sure. Crypto Cuda says Mike sounds like a hey, you know, it is a hard morning. Look at this crypto and this investment nonsense. He's just trying to wake up the old organ now to keep up. Let's see. The market's moving just like it should with the news that we got, honestly. Now, what if Now, I like the sense of humor in the audience. Now, what if the Bank of Japan came on and said, ha, 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 fooled you. We're not lowering rates, actually. We decided to hold them the same. I know they're not going to cut rates, but what if they did come on and say, no? It's been fun watching all you Americans struggling over there. But we're going to keep it the same, but next time, we're going to cut it. We're going to raise rates. There's no way around it. But this time, oh, you funny Americans, always overreacting, I think. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible because like 90% of the people that are voting on this rate hike have already said that they're unanimous and they all agreed on 0.25 rate hike, which is what makes it interesting. But is it implausible that it goes against the grain? Well, we've seen some pretty crazy things in our time, haven't we? I don't know if it's possible. I just think it'd be pretty fucking funny if that happened. All of a sudden you see people ripping their hair out because the stock market's closed. You're going to see pre-market trading in the morning going ballistic. Steelers, Lions, Sunday. Tom, Lions outside looking in on the playoff. The Lions are always on the outside looking in. Don't let it fool you that we had a couple good years. Which we blew last year, which is what irritated me. We had a bye through the whole playoffs for the first time in our franchise's history in the Super Bowl era. And we lost in the first round. To a garbage wild card team. I missed news of Japan not raising. Oh, no, you didn't miss news. I was just saying, wouldn't it be funny if they said that? Oh, no, all indicators are the Bank of Japan are going to raise rates by 1/4 of a basis point, and it's unanimously accepted for the people voting. Sentinel.ox. Is that the Mike's Oxmouse coin? Mike, are you dabbing into the coins? I'm just making a joke here, by the way, John, if you don't know Mike. But it's interesting that it's got ox in it. Sentinel.ox. Oh, it was their chance and they lost to the Commanders. The imitator, the Dan Campbell imitator himself beat Dan Campbell. But that's what happened. But that's not even the year that bothered me. It was the year we were in the plane to go to the Super Bowl, and we're up, and Dan Campbell, instead of kicking the field goal, decides he's just going to go for 4th down instead of taking the points. And then it all unraveled. It's like, you're up by 10, asshole. What do you mean you're not going to, or whatever he was up by. But that field goal, you take the points every time. So they score a touchdown, you kick another field goal, you're up by 9. So they ruined their chance. And as a Lions fan, you only get one chance. We suck. It's just the way it goes. We might look like we're good on the surface, but we don't know what we're doing. It's usually smoke and mirrors. Now, if you want to look at a good team in Michigan right now, Michigan basketball is just phenomenal. Even the Pistons are good somehow. But I guess when you get the top 3 draft pick, or top 5 draft picks for, what, a decade and a half, you're bound to hit a few picks. Oh, are you doing your pot roast, Julie? Is that what that smell is? Yeah. It smells good. If they do 25, would that be baked in or still bad news? Obviously, 50 would be bad news. Okay, I love that question because it would appear that 25 would be baked in, right? But this is the part, and I wonder if AI could explain this for me so I don't have my own bias in it.
A yen carry trade is a popular financial strategy where investors borrow money in Japanese yen because interest rates in Japan have historically been near 0%, and then reinvest that money into higher yielding assets elsewhere, such as US, tech stocks, Bitcoin, or high yield bonds. If the Bank of Japan, BOJ, raises rates by 25 basis points, bringing their benchmark to roughly 0.75%, it narrows the gap between Japan's rates and the rest of the world. Here's how that impacts the USA and risk assets. 1. The unwinding effect. When the BOJ raises rates, the cheap money isn't as cheap anymore. This triggers an unwind, which is essentially a massive reversal of the trade. Repaying loans. Investors must sell their global assets, US stocks, crypto, etc., to get the cash
That's
needed
what
to
I'm
pay
saying,
back
right
their
there.
yen-denominated
Right
loans.
there.
Currency spike.
all
As
I'm
everyone
saying.
rushes to buy yen to pay back those loans, the yen gets stronger. A stronger yen makes the remaining debt even more expensive to pay back, creating a vicious cycle of selling. 2. Impact on U.S. risk assets. Risk assets are generally the first to be sold off during an unwind because they are often the most liquid or the ones bought with the borrowed leverage. U.S. tech and growth stocks, the Magnificent Seven, and AI-related stocks often see volatility because they are common targets for carry trade capital. Cryptocurrency. Bitcoin and Ethereum are frequently hit hard during these shifts. Some analysts suggest Bitcoin can drop significantly following BOJ hikes as liquidity is pulled from the market. U.S. Treasuries. While seemingly safe, if Japanese investors,
That's what I
who are
was
huge
talking about
holders of
right
US
here.
debt, decide to bring their money back to Japan for higher local yields, they might sell U.S. Treasuries, causing U.S. bond yields to rise. 3. Summary of market reactions. Asset class. Likely reaction to rate hike. Reason. Japanese yen. Strengthens. Higher demand as loans are repaid. U.S. equities. Volatility/selling. Deleveraging and removal of cheap liquidity. Bitcoin/crypto. Sharp pullback. High beta assets are sold first to cover margin. U.S. yields. Increases. Selling pressure on treasuries can push yields up. Why this matters right now? The market already experienced a mini panic in August 2024 when the BOJ surprised investors with a similar move. A further 25 bits per second hike in December 2025 signals that the era of free money from Japan is truly ending. While a gradual hike is usually priced in, any sudden move or aggressive tone from the BOJ can lead to Black Monday-style volatility in global markets.
That's what we're worried about. It's not so much about the 25 basis points, if that's what they raise it, but what are they implying going forward? The fact that the ECB just came out with breaking news, the European Central Bank says they're likely the rate cutting cycle is over, basically, is what they said. Not likely, it's over. So if they're gonna think about it, if they need to just listen to me and hear me out, if you need to sell risk assets to get your money out, you take out of the risk crypto for the carry trade first, wouldn't you want a price spike leading into that announcement? Even if it's a minute price spike, wouldn't you want it to go up across the board instead of being on a red day so that you can get some capital coming in at the time of impact? In 2024, it only took a few months to rebound, and then we had, remember what happened in 24 after this happened? Does anybody know? Oh yeah, an historic crypto rally in November. Maybe not to the pricing on all the altcoins, but the pricing on Bitcoin went historic. So yeah, oh yeah, it recovers. But think about it, every past cycle, and this is not a joke, every past cycle, Bitcoin has back-tested the old cycle high before it made an all-time high push again after topping out. So right now it would make sense for Bitcoin to retap 69K, which was roughly the 2021 high. So now if you can test that as support after breaking into new high territories, this is how Bitcoin stays elevated. So we need to stay above 69 roughly, but in its entire history, it should backtest that area before making another new high historically. That's the other factor here that you need to be scared of. The history doesn't often repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. So it won't go to the same level, but now if it does the same thing, it's like 69K. I'm paying attention to all of these facts. I didn't run to use my liquidity to buy in. I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm staying patient and letting this happen until it proves that I need to buy back in. It can do whatever it wants in between, but until it hits certain points and it gets to certain metrics, I can't do anything right now. And now look, silver's back over. Look at gold now. See, I knew something was going on this morning with this. It's too obvious right now what's going on. Why would gold and silver go down to support so hard? And gold and crypto so willing to come up to resistance so fast? Like, this doesn't make any sense. It seems like a trap is being built, and that's what's making me nervous this morning. Like, if I was building a trap, I would have dumped gold and silver initially with the commodities and mining stocks like they did in pre-market, especially for the miners. And then I would have risk assets go up right away after that announcement with the USA stuff, knowing what's coming. Like this is what I would do. But I don't know. I keep saying, like, I don't know if we can break out because I don't know how much capital from the quantitative easing will find its way in. But I suspect that they put that $40 billion for a reason into the T-bills and the bonds in lieu of what can happen with the Japan carry trade. Think about it. If they're selling out their risk assets, if they're selling out their bonds and their treasuries to get a better yield in Japan. And remember, I have a lot of trades that target that side of the world in my emerging market funds. So if all this is happening and it makes it better over there to trade, it's not good for us. Yes, rate cuts for Japan would make it a little more enticing for us because of the way things work. But when they hike rate, it doesn't matter how small it is. It's a domino effect. So everybody who says it's baked in, I don't think you understand what baked in means. You can't possibly bake it into what happens in our financial system because you don't know how many decide to sell their risk or pull out of the T-bills and treasury bonds or even just the general bonds because they get a better rate back in Japan. That's called the yen carry trade. That's what it is. Why would they keep it in U.S. equities if they can get a better rate of return back home? It doesn't make any sense. None of you would do it either. You'd pull all your shit out of Japan if that was the case, and you'd come back to the USA. I'm doing the opposite. I'm pulling all my shit out of the USA and going into the emerging markets the last couple of years through my mutual funds, and it's paying off in a big way. Oh, I've got the what if, my friend. I've got the what if. I've had this chart built for a long time. I knew. I don't want to say I knew, but we've had this built out in case it happens. Right now, at least, we're over the Mendoza line. And as long as we're over 87,000, yesterday it was a little bit higher. Today it's a little bit lower. Whoops. What the hell? This needs to be higher, I believe. I don't remember where that was at. I'm going to have to look now. No, it was on the 92. There we go. But this is a little bit higher now today. So now we need to hold, or I mean a little lower, 87,821 is what we want. So 87,800 we're going to want to stay over. But if we break down, we've already got this set up for the one who asked. It's already set up. If you're new, let me go into this real quick. Take this from a daily so it's easier to see. We broke down out of what looks like a rising wedge. It looks like a rising wedge. And the technical target out of this, the first one is 72,683 if we don't come back up and retest 102. And I know this is sloppy in the middle, but when you break it into the micro, all these numbers make sense. It's the former FVG that we came through, and now it's almost hitting it in a bearish fashion below. And then we also have the CME that it came back through, which is irrelevant now because it filled it, but I want to see if it uses these as resistance in these zones or not. And right now, it's very speculative at best. So the breakdown out of this rising wedge would be 72, but maximum pain would be 59,545, which would backtest the cup and handle that was formed on the initial breakout of Bitcoin. Doesn't need to come all the way back there, but it's never had a volatile backtest of that range. However, I will say we could very well hold 69K and I'd be okay with it because it's backtesting the old all-time high. And this was back in 24 when we started doing this and we came back around, but go back to 21, 68,379 is what we're talking about. The time before that, look at, remember it came up, came around, came back down. The last time when it came up here, 18,000, how ironic, it tested that area back here when we had the breakdown from all-time highs in 21. Back tested the prior all-time highs. Right? It seems to do this every time. You can go back even farther. Bitcoin finally broke out of its parabolicness, went all the way up, back tested the breakout of its parabolicness on its last back test before the rise up. And then it back tested, did it again, back tested before the next rise up. Did it again, back tested before the next rise up. Now, if we do it again, it's at a slightly higher level, but you're talking about 69,000 and about 400. So when you start looking at past cycles to predict future performance, like we said in January, it's too easy for this market to go straight up. It's too easy. The government's not going to tell you to buy something that's going to make you money. The next time would be the first time. And I put this message out over 11 months ago, selling 75% of my crypto, which was just holding the main bag of XRP at 34 cents, which I had bought $5,000 worth in the XRP Bitcoin pairing at 38 cents, which was life-changing. Let's just say that because I was able to fix up my house and do all this stuff with it. The other thing on this was turning focus to gold, silver, and mining stocks. Like, I didn't buy a single ounce of gold and silver, but I bought mining stocks in January.
Focus to gold, silver, and mining stocks.
Because I had already bought my physical metals to make my own central bank. And then I had to come back on and say, listen, you know, a couple days later, I had to come back on and repeat the message. If it comes on here, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't show all of the stuff I put on here for some reason. They used to put them back to back so you could see both of them. Apparently it doesn't want to show all of it. Oh, here it is. This is when I tried to warn. And then I talked about Bitcoin target 75K. XRP to cut in half. I wonder where the pricing was that
everybody
day.
can be on the same
it cut
page.
in half.
I
already.
talked about uploading 75% of my...
Okay, so that was after the first big drop down when people got pissed from $3.50 back down, or $3.30 back down to $2. Yep. That was after the first 50% basic cutoff. And then we had a big rally again, and then everybody fell for the same thing. Yep, Bitcoin dominance continues to grow. And that's not by accident, actually. It's actually not by accident. This is charted out and meant to happen. Because we still have never... We've had a back test, but we haven't back tested the 200 to confirm the further breakdown if it's going to happen. This was my projected target from up here to come down here and consolidate, which it did perfectly. And then that would be the continuation out. And then you have to retest first to 200, and then you start to see if you hit some of these higher levels. And then once it breaks down, we need it to hit this level at 54.71 and lose it. Then you're going to know we're on the right track. Still broke down outside of a rising channel, which is very bearish. It's just trying to figure this out now for the final drop. Mr. Carter, welcome in. Tony Carter, hashtag M2C, mother's second choice. My brother from another mother out in the outback. Can't say where. He's got great music, though. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Closing on the 4 years now. Unbelievable support. Just a great person as well. I swear this is the person that if I lived closer to him, I swear, I feel like we would feel like we were separated at birth or something. I feel like we'd have so much fun. We have a very similar mindset. And says, and for sure on this day, you went on the right path. Yep. It could have been a time of despair. For the ones who don't know, 19 years ago, on this very day, one day after my 23rd birthday, I was going to pick up my cousin Johnny. I surprised him with a Christmas present to go see, I don't even remember who it was now. I think a day to remember on Grand Valley University's campus. They were performing. And I surprised him with the tickets. And I just worked a double shift at work, went home, slept for like 2-3 hours. And I went to go pick him up, and somebody just going down 21 in Hayes. The lane merged after the light. The guy decided he was going to run the red light, and he had nowhere to go. And instead of going up the curb and not fucking anybody up, he decided to hit the back of my truck, and he trashed me like a trash can or a tuna can, in between another vehicle, and I smushed. And all he was worried about talking to his wife, our insurance premiums are going to go up. He's hurt. It's like, oh, that's what you're worried about is your fucking monetary bullshit. You just anyhow. Ironically, the next month, I had a fully paid Pro-Am invite down to Ohio for the PBA. They had a PBA tour stop, and I had a full invite, fully paid, sponsored by Columbia 300 and Ebonite were my sponsors. Used to get free bowling balls and shoes and that. Oh, it was kind of nice. Brad Garlinghouse said market cap in crypto would be $5 trillion by 2024, and I told everybody he was high as a kite back then when he said it. It's just not possible. At least now, I mean, we're not even at 3 trillion right now, and it's almost 2026. You know, we just got to let this play. This is how it's supposed to be, though. This is how it's supposed to be. And like I've said the last 2 days, I believe we're all here for a reason, because this is the time of the great reset, and it's not the way everybody thinks. Everybody just thinks everybody can be invested and you're going to be rich. I hate to break it to you. You got to be invested at the right moment, and you can change your outlook. You have to be invested in the right asset classes. Like right now, Crypto is 1/3 the plan. I'm telling you right now, if you're an investor, crypto can only be 1/3 your mindset. 1/3 your mindset has to be on emerging markets. As the U.S. continues to go down in the slums, the U.S. dollar continues to devalue, and inflation goes rampant, and we keep quantitative easing and just printing all this money, you have to pay attention to emerging markets. And the third part is you have to be your own central bank, which means you have to have a store of value. Crypto is not a store of value. I consider it a store of opportunity, a store of volatility. How they're now calling it a store of energy. It's not digital gold. Digital gold is exactly that. It's digital gold. Peter Schiff is creating the actual digital gold as we speak. Go to tgold.com to try to find out more. And the other part you need is what gets that stuff out of the ground, the miners, which the third part actually includes oil as well when it's the right time. That whole play, the commodity base. Some people like sugar, some people like rice, some people like grains. That's not my forte. I like the miners because I understand gold and silver and how much it costs to get it on the ground. You hear Solana is in a lawsuit with Pump.Fun. Vaguely, but I didn't really put any stock into it. Totally awesome, but it's a big lawsuit from what I could see. And thank you for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate that. Oh, Bitcoin's down under 88 all of a sudden here. Let's see how this plays out here. Let's see what gold and silver is doing, because that's our dead giveaway. Gold, $30 now. I told you the miners were speaking like we weren't going to keep going down today in gold and silver. The miners were telling us something was wrong. What's my thought on tungsten, Tom? I don't really have any thoughts, to be honest. I haven't went down, my mind hasn't even thought about that, to be honest. It's a good question, actually. Somebody said look at algo. Yeah, and the thing that sucks right now about LAES is there was more news. I mean, CLSQ LAES. Fuck, am I mad about that? They got the grant from Hedera we talked about before. So, we talked about this in, I think, November. It was coming up. So it kind of sucks. Just heard we don't have any commercial U.S. mines last night. I would like to say that's untrue, but it's becoming less and less here. Less and less, so to say. In the States. And it's for regulatory reasons that we don't talk about enough. And the implementation going from Basel 3 to 5. There's a whole big nightmare going on there. Just like everybody has the conspiracy with the ISO framework and the digital flip and all this. There's that same conspiracy backset when it comes to Basel 3 and 4 for gold, silver, the repricing, the redistribution, the reorganization, the reclassification, let's call it the resemantic. I mean, there's a lot. Look at XRPNW down 8% today. Hitting a new fresh low here again. Talked about this when this was happening in real time. People were buying up here saying, I'm willing to hold forever. Now you're down 40+%. You don't do that, I'm going to hold forever bullshit until you get to the bottom. Please. You do that, I'm going to hold forever, and you're going to hold forever. Look at the people in XRP in 2018. A lot of them didn't end up selling because they're like, oh, we're going to get this parabolic spike higher. I might as well have been sitting here for years. Now they're down as much as 50% again. Could you imagine? You got down and you rode XRP all the way down to 10 cents, buying it at 350, and you didn't sell for profit at 3 cents. Could you imagine? I told everybody in my audience, if you sat through this for 5 years or 7 years, the first thing you're going to do is sell out when it gets above your price, because it's going to have a better than 50% pullback. It has to happen. It's never not happened in the history of investing. No matter what it is, it always has that pullback. When you make everybody whole that's been sitting there for years, you got to expect some of the ground to fall through. We call it like quicksand. I had my comment kept getting deleted to try and tell you. Really? Why would it keep getting deleted? But no problem, you are the best channel for watching the markets. I appreciate that, but I don't delete the comments. I seen Totally Awesome said that up fire too, that it with Solana it's getting deleted. I wonder why that is. I know a lot of times our audience gets shadow banned when they try to type stuff and it won't show it or it'll just end us. But that's why I stopped showing it. Like I used to show my chat like this. See how it scrolls across the left so everybody can see. But once we got into bad topics and the audience would talk about stuff that it didn't like, because it's showing on my screen now, YouTube can see it through its algorithm. When it's in the comment section, that's just the comment section. It doesn't care. But when it's on my screen, it becomes part of the analytics, at least during the live, because you can all see it. But once it gets released in the update, you can't see that scrolling anymore, I don't believe. Oh, no, I think you can actually. That's how people knew what the comments were. Duh. Now nobody knows when anybody comments because YouTube doesn't show what comes in the live, which I find that extremely strange. Because wouldn't you want to know what everybody's saying during the live if you were watching it after? Like, it kind of makes you feel like you're not included in the conversation. Like, you're kind of not included in the big club. But we'll have to keep watching XRP and the rest of the crypto market. I'm going to go, I got to go do what I got to do this morning. We've been on for an hour and 26 minutes. But Algo only up 0.83% right now. Significantly oversold in some of the time frames, especially the weekly. But we're at a rejection point below. So right now the bear flag, we came below that bear flag where I thought the support could be initially. And if that didn't hold, we've talked about it. You got 2 layers that you can target, which is what I'm trying to target if this doesn't play true and it breaks down. And really the 2 targets are, if this breaks down, you're looking down here. You're really looking down there at 9.4, which, what is that? It finally came. Is that, give me that, please. This might be your good gift. Don't worry. Oh, it is more than one thing. But one of them is one that I've been waiting for you for weeks. Julie T's plasma light came for Christmas.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep.
So I can just put this.
And then this, hold on, don't look. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to see because I think Julie's Christmas present. Oh, you're fine, Julie. Stupid box. Can't see it. Oh, this has to be. I don't know what else. Ow. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. Julie, you're going to be very happy with this. I gotta go put this away, everybody, real quick, and I'll be back to finish this live. I'm late for this, Julie. Look at my bicep.
CBS? Yeah.
Julie?
Huh?
Can we put those clothes in the dryer?
Okay. Don't forget, you got people waiting. Good job.
I don't have to do it. It makes it easier for you. You're welcome. All right, sorry about that, everybody. I know 15% left because I know we're about to end this soon. But I want to do the switch the laundry into the dryer because I put some in. I didn't want Julie to have to flip it over. She's doing other things. And she's short. And it's a stackable laundry unit because of the way our laundry room is, so we had to have it stacked. Finally got a laugh, tough crowd. There you go, John. See, eventually you'll get it. Says he'll be here for another 15 minutes. Maybe. I like that. We've had an hour and a half. I still can't eat for 22 minutes, so you know there's that. Still, I mean, we're at about that $1.91 level. So we haven't broke through the immediate resistance. We have one at $1.94, but there's one slightly more immediate than that at $1.91.3, and that's what we're up against right now. So it's not unusual that we'd have a little bit of a problem here. We don't really want to see a rejection here. Volume was breaking down in the 45-minute as price was rising. Sometimes that ends up being a recipe for a bearish reversal in that time frame. Unless we can get a volume spike after a consolidation candle, then you get another candle that exceeds this candle here, and then it would be a continuation. And then you could come up to the 200 and try to go from the next resistance at $1.94. So right now, I wouldn't get upset right now until it breaks down. Just let it happen right now. I mean, you know, it's not, this isn't a buy and sell market. It's if you're going to buy, you found your spot a zone that you can sit in for a while. And if you're waiting for confirmation, it's just that. You know, don't get too excited. Let's see what the Bank of Japan does. I'm going to try to come on at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So in about 10 hours from now, and try to cover that entire thing in real time. It all depends on my son, though, because if there's something going on with him, if he's in a weird mood, he's nonverbal, he's autistic, and he just deals with a lot of stuff. So, you know, it's you guys know the deal who have been here. You all know the deal. He trumps all, like Julie said, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I guess I should leave it at that. There's not much more I can say. I guess I would just confuse if I keep talking. Quant had an initial run up, and then it's reversed back down. So is Quant telling us something? As it came up to earlier this morning at $76, and now it's back down to 73, under 74. Could that be telling us something possibly? Maybe it's running out ahead and everything's actually getting ready to reverse back down. We haven't had any kind of stellar... Let's see what Epic's doing this morning, actually. Epic was one of the outliers that was actually out ahead. Maybe it's continuing its rally. You never know. We could have some green. Okay, never mind. It's red. Well, fuck me. Never mind. Down 3.5%. Thought maybe that could add a continuation. It was up like 10%. Yeah, never mind. Gold, though, Julie reversed. It was down 30, 40 bucks earlier. Now it's up 30 bucks.
Yay.
Silver was down a couple percent. Now it's almost back to 66.
Ooh.
So we'll see what happens here.
Exciting.
How about, hey, that's true, the XPR chart. I don't know where that went. That's what's missing on here, the XPR chart. It's always usually on here. That wasn't doing so well yesterday. Doesn't mean it's not doing good today, though. Let's see, which one did I use? It could have been this one. No, definitely not this one. I mean, it came up from the bottom at least. I had a chart that was beautifully written out for XPR. Whoops. I don't think I would have used that one. Yep. Okay, so we're almost done. We were in between right now. So that we had a breakdown. And now we didn't hold that uptrending support. So now we had resistance, resistance. Now we're trying to see if we hold it as a support area. If not, is when it gets really tricky. Like, I haven't shown this perspective, but this could get really tricky here. If we did have let's just say with the Bank of Japan, something really bad did happen. And this is just foretelling something even worse transpiring here in the short term. Because a lot of things are below their critical support structure. And that's what makes this a tricky time. Worst case scenario, we're trying to create an all-time uptrend and this doesn't hold. And we come back into consolidation and it restarts. If it doesn't hold support, remember, buy support, sell resistance until the pattern breaks. Well, right now on the breakout, if it doesn't hold a back test here, it means it's going to try to hunt all the way back down to the uptrend. And that uptrend happens to be at 0.0084, roughly 0.0009. We're not even talking about flipping a zero, folks. If that was the case. We're not talking about flipping a zero. We're talking about flipping well, I guess it is a zero. What am I talking about? It is flipping a zero. Never mind. I guess we are flipping another zero. That's a big drop. So yeah, that's if it were to break down in worst case scenario. I mean, I guess worst case scenario would be it just collapses. And then it goes into disparity. And it's like, as much as I like Proton, that's a big drop. But if we can, well, we didn't hold it, so it's not if. It's can we hold this little back test and get back above here and then start pushing back out. So, yeah. That's where we're at right now in the market. Nothing's exactly pretty here. Hey, we're still like, hey, team. Yeah, exactly. We are, MQ, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram and in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. I love it. As far as researching Bitcoin, going to use Proton blockchain connecting with the banks, which is named Metallicus. Can you double check that? Yeah, they are for the credit unions. The credit unions in the USA are supposed to be using Proton. That is verifiable. We talked about this, I want to say a couple months ago now when somebody brought it to our community, the information, and we fact-checked it. And it seemed to be validated. One new story. Absolutely. MQT, if we had a crash, absolutely we're coming back up to that rising wedge resistance at minimum. I almost want it to come to 80K or 76 and just hold. Because I know the full breakdown in the rising wedge is actually down to 59 if it played out perfectly. But I know 69K. The 59K, even though that's back testing the cup and handle breakout, we know 68,346 or 5 or whatever is actually the all-time high from the last cycle. So we back tested every cycle's all-time high as support before we broke out after making a new all-time high. We always back tested after the new all-time high. We immediately came down and back tested the old all-time high, and then ended up breaking to a new all-time high, and then back testing the all-time high, and for a third time breaking to a new all-time high for Bitcoin, and now fourth time, and now back testing the old all-time high. If we come back to 68,000, what did we say it was? 68,003 something. So somewhere around 69K. No, we did not purchase anything on Winning Wednesdays, as it's been suspended for at least the last 2 weeks because of what's been going on. No, we did it for a few weeks, and then the market was shifting back down. So we had to make an informed decision, even though we didn't want to. Now, I'm not saying that you can't buy it. I'm just saying I'm saving the money for when I do the wholesale purchase, and then I'll go back to Wednesdays. I just want to see how this market downturns. I wasn't interested because we've had like a 30% drop or 20%. I just want to see how this plays out. But yeah, we got to go. I got to go. Yeah, I know. Julie needs me. Got to go. That's my signal. Watch gold the rest of the day as it's up 25 bucks. Silver's down 0.5%, 0.75%. See how the miners react. See what happens with the Bank of Japan. I'll try to be on at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you hit the like button in the video description below and our pinned comments. You can join Kraken, and that's where I trade XTC and all my other stuff, but do Kraken Pro so you get the cheaper fees. And it's pretty much like doing it in a non-tier 1 exchange on a no KYC. And then also for Facebook, join that. Join Tom's Army, you can get in the Telegram, but that's neither here nor there. If you want to send a donation, on my YouTube homepage, there's even a way to not send a super chat or anything through YouTube. You can do PayPal or Venmo if you desire. And I know it works because MQ sent me something as recently as yesterday, as well as one other person as well.